Welcome everyone. We have Mr. Devon Tomlinson here. So before we get started with Devon, I want to just clarify a few things. Was about 6 weeks ago, we did a promotion to have Devon on the masterclass here, and it was totally my fault. I mixed up the date. We went for a Thursday. Devon is a pastor, and he had his Bible study on Thursday, and we couldn't, reacclimate quickly. And by that time, I had all the promos out, so I had to like pull a wild card, pull the ace out of my sleeve, and bring on someone else to take the spot that we had for Devon. So what I did is, let me show you quickly. I'm going to share my screen. I brought in a professor,
Hmm.
a client of mine, who bought a bunch of properties and did some some buy, renovate, refinance to them, and we recorded that. So what I did this time, and it's not to it wasn't done with bad intentions or anything. Is instead of promoting Devon again, we promoted the professor, but this time we're bringing Devon on. So, but as a gift to you guys for that little mix-up, I'm going to give you the recording for the professor um, because that's
Especially it's both me and you.
fully recorded there with Matt. Okay. And then when this call's done, we're going to give you the recording for Devon also. So there'll be two recordings in the email you get. So two presentations for the price of one here. I hope that makes sense. We got a few more people coming in there. Okay, Devon, sorry for the
Yes,
mix-up we had earlier.
all good, all good. Glad to be
Totally
here.
my bad. So Devon came to us earlier in the spring, had some big goals, which I'll let him explain. But he was able to get two properties back to back and is cash flowing well. And what I appreciated about his approach was that he seemed to be able to quickly remove the emotion from the whole formula. And that's really important for investors who are getting started because, when you're spending that kind of money and you're getting all this debt piled on, like we're humans, there's just going to be emotions involved. But, and I'm sure Devon has emotions. He is human. I know that for sure. But he was able to overcome them and use the logical part that gives us the best ROI and ROL. And I found that fantastic. So I want to let Devon take over, kind of tell us kind of what was on your mind when you wanted to start investing and kind of just lead us into that story.
Got it, got it. Thank you very much, Paul, for having me. Hello, everyone. For me, I'll back up a little bit because
Sure.
a lot of my story with my wife is that we were on a struggle bus for quite some time. And some of you may not understand the concept of a struggle bus, but that's when you're living from paycheck to paycheck. That's when you're not sure how you're going to get the next bill looked after. And I was trying to figure out how in the world am I going to move forward? How in the world am I going to get off this struggle bus? And quite honestly, I thought financial freedom was out of reach for myself and my wife. And I know what it looks like to do everything to try and get the support that you need and still fall behind working extra hours, working extra shifts. And you're still not making any ends meet. And that was tough for me. And I realized that the truth is many of us don't get off the financial struggle bus for a number of different reasons. And one of those reasons is either we were never taught how to manage our finances, to be able to do the things that we need to do. For some, we're reacting to emergencies instead of having some kind of plan in place. And for others, we're carrying financial habits that we inherited, but never really questioned. Or we are trying to figure it out all by ourselves. And that's kind of how it is when I got into real estate investing. My wife and I was trying to figure it out all by ourselves. And man, did we make a lot of mistakes trying to do that because we didn't have a system, we didn't have any plans. We didn't know that there was a certain rhythm that you needed to have to follow, and we didn't know anything about mentors and all that kind of stuff. I just figured you grab a real estate agent and you go looking for properties and you see something you like, and that was the end of it. You just buy. And so we ended up doing some stuff like that, and man, it really messed us up. But that was just part of our struggles on this bus and trying to learn how we're going to kind of move ahead. And we spent money, we lost money in real estate. We did a number of things that was really dumb, but we didn't allow it to kind of curtail my vision because I always wanted to be a real estate investor. I always did. And I needed to figure out a way to be able to do that. And so it took a while for me to get off that struggle bus. And for some of you, you may be on that struggle bus right now. And let me just say that you can get off of it, but you got to have a plan. You got to have a system. And so it took a while because I had to do some financial literacy stuff. I was in the banking business for 20 some odd years, meshed it all together. And part and parcel is the reason why I wrote my book, From Setback to Success, turning false starts into financial freedom. And the struggle bus concept or metaphor that you're hearing about has a lot to do with false starts, right? We all know what false starts is all about. We see it in track and field. We see false starts with people who try to set up a business, it doesn't work. We got into real estate and it didn't work, but it didn't deter us, right? At some point, we were able to get our strides and get our rhythm and be able to get on track with everything. And so my wife and I finally got off the struggle bus and we started investing. I'm grateful for individuals like Josh that we met up with, and I was hungry to get back into the swing of things because we're at a different stage in our lives, myself and my wife, and I'm saying, you know what? I don't want to miss out on this opportunity. I don't want to be in the same place I was last year because last year we were sitting on the fence. You know, there was an agent that we had and wasn't really doing anything, and I said, I don't want to repeat this. And I got onto Rockstar Investment and they were doing some stuff there and they said, hey, you can jump on board and pay this monthly fee. And I locked into that thing right away because again, I wanted to get involved with this. And one of the things I really loved is that they were in the Oakville area. In other words, I could drive out to them and that really kind of set the pace for me because everybody else that I was connecting with was out of the area. Make a long story short, man, I finally connected up with them. I connected up with Josh and I was hungry to get out there and start doing something. And Josh was saying, slow down, slow down. We got we got to take it easy. And I'm saying, Josh, I already have a house, man. I'm saying, Josh, we've done this before. And then Josh said something. He said, listen, you have the good, the bad, and the ugly out there, right? And so we're going to look at all of them. And so that's what actually happened. We went and we looked at the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I learned a lot of things from him. I understood why he said to slow down and take a look at certain things. And when you feel comfortable, let's do it. And one of the things that I really appreciated about him is that there wasn't any pressure, there wasn't any force. It wasn't a commission type of thing. He was more of a coach. And I think that's what my wife and I needed because I've had to deal with the difference of the two. A realtor who sells you and just wants to get his commission and then you don't see him anymore. But Josh is the total opposite. I mean, he is a coach of coaches. And when I say that, I simply mean that, hey, he wants to make sure you're doing the right things. He's giving you the resources. He's giving you the people after you get your investment to make sure that everything goes well. He's double checking the numbers on your real estate investment to make sure it makes sense before you jump in. I love that, man. I really love that. And so, and even after I bought my properties, he's still there. He's still there checking on me, making sure everything is going okay. I never had that. I never had that. So that's where I'm coming from when I say there is a big difference because now I can feel the rhythm. I didn't have that. You know, there's some people who got rhythm, they got timing. I used to play drums, but that's a side story. They got rhythm, they got timing, they know how to keep a beat. And there's some other people that got no beat whatsoever. Listen, when I started off with real estate, I had no beat whatsoever. I had no rhythm whatsoever. I was pulling from the east, pulling from the west. I was still trying to buy real estate and do investments while I was in debt. I didn't realize that, hey, you have to be at a comfortable pace where debt doesn't become the issue for you. Because what's the point of buying a house and you're still having to pay a mortgage? You may end up losing the house because you've got credit cards and a whole bunch of other things going on. And I realized my wife and I had to be at a comfortable place. And so honestly, we're at a nice rhythm right now where we're enjoying our real estate investment, the portfolios that we had. And I'm grateful for that because my wife and I just kind of looked back and said, you know what? This is probably one of the best years we've had in terms of a winning season where everything was just coming together for us. The properties that we bought, I only wanted to buy one. Can you believe that? I just stop me when you're ready, Paul. I just wanted to
Yeah.
buy one
You're
property.
on a roll. I don't even want to stop you. But no, let's take a break because you said a bunch of cool things and I'm making note of
No
them in my
worries.
head. So
Yes.
first thing you said is you're on the struggle bus, which
Yes.
I'm gonna be borrowing that one, and I'll pay the copyright dues when when you send me a bill. But no, you're on the struggle bus. But what I found more interesting than that is you said you were in banking for 22
Mhm.
years. So you'd
Yeah,
assume that, if you're in banking for 22 years, you'd have some more financial literacy than most bankers do.
correct,
But I find that most of them don't.
correct.
Sadly, they follow a very narrow and strict system that really
Yes,
keeps you handcuffed and trapped in the system that they work for. And
absolutely.
so you found more results outside of the common system that they promoted, right?
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
you you also had some goals. I heard you're working together with your wife, and for those of you with wives and husbands, it's a must because
Yeah,
you can't do it by yourself. You're only setting
uh,
yourself up
yeah.
to not make it work. And
Mhm.
okay, you said too many things. So I'm gonna for those of you who don't know, Devon's a pastor. So when this guy gets on a roll, he gets on a roll. So, but let me steer you in the direction I want to go.
Yes.
Oh, you were talking about Josh. So Josh, if for those of us on the call who don't know who Josh Arnett works with me. He
Mhm.
he does most of the road stuff nowadays because I'm so busy doing so many other things. So some of you on the call here know Josh, but if you don't,
Mhm.
uh, I'll introduce him to you, and he works with me. So when you get on the road with us and we build your strategy, he's the guy executing at the end.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, so but let's dial it in, and I want to get to some people here who I know uh, haven't haven't been back on the road in a lot of time ever
Mhm.
since our market kind of went wonky. And some of the people on this call haven't got their first property yet, and I know who they are.
Mhm.
So why don't you tell us what was going through your mind? Because 2025 wasn't necessarily a banner year for real estate in general for most people, but you seem to find opportunity, cash flow, and returns. So what was
Yes.
going through your mind when you were searching for properties?
Okay. One of the things that came to my wife, first of all, my wife needed to be on board for us to go and look at what needed to be done. If she wasn't on board, we weren't going to accomplish anything. So once I got the green light from her that we were good to go, and originally it was just one property, when I connected with Josh, I was trying to figure out where to buy. I knew it was a buyer's market, and in all honesty, I was looking at Brampton, I was looking at Barry. And Josh said, no, those are not, Brampton is too expensive. Again, I didn't have the insights when it comes to real estate investing. Didn't know that there's different areas that you can buy at different times. And he said, well, Hamilton is a good spot right now. Never thought about it, never considered it, never even drove through there. And he said Hamilton is a good spot to go up and take a look at. So I said, okay, let's set up an appointment and let's kind of go up there. So we went up and this is where we saw the good, bad, and the ugly taking place. And he said, this is what you want to buy. This is what you don't want to buy. This is what to stay away from, right? Those kinds of things. And then we went to some really nice places that I saw, which were like duplexes. And I said, okay, I mean, before all of that, we did do an approval piece to see how much we qualified for because
Yep.
I knew we were going to jump in. I just didn't know what area we were going to jump in and I didn't know what the prices were. So we did all of that prior to going out because Josh wanted to know exactly how much we were qualified for so we can look at properties that are within our approval limits. So that was cool. We did do that. But what I really liked out in that area was he took us to some duplexes, and these were duplexes that were rental ready, if I can say it that way. You could rent out the top, rent out the bottom. You didn't have to do any renovations because that was one of the things that was on my bucket list. And I've been through stuff like that where you had to, renovate the basement, you had to legalize it. I didn't want to go through all of that. I said, I just want something that's rental ready. And so that's where we ended up. And he crunched numbers for us. And it was good to go. And then he just started working with us to kind of tell us all the stuff that we needed, make sure everything was legit. Even made sure we got the approval or the permit from the city saying it's a legal duplex, right? From that standpoint. And so that's kind of how we kind of got there in terms of the location and jumping in. I knew it was a buyer's market. I wasn't concerned about jumping in, but I just wanted to make sure that we were making the right deal in the right location in the right place, which I really didn't know anything about. And that's why I'm thankful for having a coach who can say, this is a good area for you. Let's go check that out.
So typically we have a 3 or 4 step system. For those who don't know, we meet with you one on one, sometimes once or twice to kind of get to know each other. What are you trying to
Hmm.
accomplish? And then really tie in what in the real estate market is available to us that's going to help close the gap between where you are now and where your goals are, right? We
Hmm.
want the investment to close that gap as quickly as possible. And then, like Devon mentioned, we're going to go through this process where we got to go, back and forth with the bank or a mortgage broker to figure out, how much we can spend and how much leeway we have there. And
Yeah.
then when we get on the road, we're seeing, like you said, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So the first time we go on the road,
Hmm.
I say it, Josh says it now too. It's a leave your checkbook at home type of property tour.
Yes.
So yeah, we want you to go out there without the intention of thinking, oh man, this crazy realtor is going to force me to buy a property. No,
Yes.
it's just education. Because once you know your goals, once you got your financing, and once you've become comfortable with what's in the market and what you can afford, your
Hmm.
level of comfort is going to go all the way up here.
Yes.
And Josh or I don't even need to do any selling. You're going to sell yourself. Because
Yeah.
if you're really connected with your goals in your heart, you're going to see what's truly valuable to you. So now, what was it about the duplex? Why not a pre-construction? Why not a big building? Why not a single family? Was it cash flow? Was it, what was it? You talked about rental ready, no rentals, that's fine, but what was it about the
Yes.
duplex specifically?
Part of it is that we wanted cash flow. It was a level that we were comfortable with. We used to have we had I think two properties before. They were more like single families, but they weren't necessarily legalized. And I said I'm going to start off on the right foot. I mean, you can still rent them out as such with Brampton. They made allowances for different things, but I said let's start off real small. Let's go into something that's already done, right? Where
Mhm.
there just didn't need to be any repairs. They didn't need. I didn't want to put more cash into it is one of the biggest things my wife and I agreed on. Let's just find something that we can get in, start getting cash flow right away, and start building that equity so that when the time comes, we can move on. And this where we
Hmm.
were, the area was just beautiful. It just fitted for exactly what we qualified for, and it was good to go.
Yeah, got it. So cash flow was the big target, and then within your budget range,
Yes,
this duplex is already rental ready, doesn't need any renovations. It's going to
yes,
cash flow from day one. No brainer. Got it.
yes,
But this is perfect because I could bring on, let's say Matthew, the professor who we had on in your stead 6 weeks ago, he did the
yes,
complete opposite. He went out there with the same intentions of creating cash flow, and he's like, "Well, I don't want anything rental ready.
yeah.
I want to get in there and I want to renovate it and I want to refine
Mm,
it." And there is no right or wrong answer here.
true, true.
I'm full of cheesy analogies, and my cheesy analogy is like when you start investing, it's like going to the tailors and making a custom suit.
Hmm.
So me
Hmm.
and Devon might go into the tailors and he might have a nice double breast. I might have a single breast. He might have a
Yeah.
long jacket. I might have a short jacket. He might
Yes.
have a pleat in his pants. I might not. And the point is that we both leave with a custom suit, but it's custom made for me and custom made for
Yes.
you.
Yes.
So you got
Yes.
to make the portfolio the same way, and it's got to work for you. And uh, uh, through that process, you figured out what you wanted, and then you got it done. But
Hmm.
we didn't just do one property, we did two properties back to back, which is pretty rare. I'd say like 2 out of 100. So explain to me how that went and what was going through your mind through that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know what? When we got to the first property and we liked how everything was going, we liked the area. Josh said to me, he goes, "There's one right beside it that's also for sale." And he took us over there to kind of show it us. And I said, "Okay, fair enough. Let's go take a look at it." And we did just that. We took a look at it, and I said, "This looks pretty good." Not thinking anything about it. I'm just driving home. I have something else in my mind that I am thinking. And out of the blue, my wife looks over at me, and this is why it's so important to be on the A team with your wife. She looks over at me and goes, "We should go after that other one." And I turned around to her and I said, "Are you ready for that? Are you sure you want to do that?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "How often are two properties going to come up side by side to beside
Mhm.
one another? And if we have to do any type of property management and all that kind of stuff, it's so easy because we're already up in that same area on the same street. So it seems like a no-brainer for us." I said, "Well, okay, let's see if we can get this thing qualified." And so, yeah, we started putting the wheels in motion to kind of get it done. We added my daughter on as a first time buyer. but we had the backing for all of that. So
Mm.
there were creative ways that we were able to do the deal. And for her, it was a nice opportunity for her to feel like a part of the deal because she's never had or never been a part of something like that. And so it was a nice experience. And I'm moving now to another generation, right? Because my daughter, much younger, but this was her first experience and she loved that. And I said, okay, at some point, we'll probably buy you out so you can buy your own at some point down the road. But the main thing was to secure that second property. And it took some work, but the tail end, man, we were able to lock that thing down. And it was a far cry compared to the experiences that we had in the past in trying to do a similar type of deal. But when she said, let's go for it, I said, well, it's a buyer's market. We can't go wrong. Let's go.
We got to get your wife to talk to everybody else's wife.
She can talk like I
We'll,
can.
we're gonna pay her a commission to talk to everyone. That's funny. So yes, you went through financing, you brought your daughter on,
Yes.
and then okay, wow, okay, you bought two properties. Now you bought two duplexes side by side. Now you got to fill four units.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, so that's another
Mm.
part of the battle. So
Yeah.
so tell us a little bit about that so we can frame it for everyone.
Absolutely. I mean that took a while for us because again, we were still learning and that's why it's so good to have a coach because Josh brought Laura in. Your wife Paul brought her in. I didn't know her, but Josh spoke highly of her and said, "Hey, she can help you in regards to filling your properties." And I said, "Okay, let's rock. Let's get this thing going." So we brought her on and again, true to form, she was doing some stuff that I wasn't aware of that you can start promoting and marketing. And I mean, I only know about Kijiji. So she was putting us on different things, getting the property out there, the pictures, all that kind of stuff. And it took a while to fill it, but then I realized from Josh that hey, there is a time frame in terms it's not going to happen overnight, especially when you're looking for good tenants to fill it. And back in the past, man, as long as you got two arms and two legs, and you can see I'm renting it to you. That's how I used to think back in the days until when I connected with Josh and Laura, and they were kind of helping me to understand that no, if you want quality tenants, you have to be patient, you have to wait. And so that's exactly what we did. And sure enough, within the time frame, we started filling it with one and then started filling it with the second. And there were candidates that came and Laura said, no, I don't know about this. And that's what I liked because she would check in with me to say, this we have this one. I'm not sure. What do you think? And she'd put the ball in my court, and I would kind of assess it a little bit and say, let's pass on this one for varying reasons. I think one of them was like five students looking to rent the upper unit, and there's only
Uh,
like three bedrooms.
uh,
Where are we going with five? So there was those kinds of things that kind of said, okay, now we're not going to work with that. But the end result that yes, eventually we got one duplex filled, then we moved to the second one, got it filled. So no money really kind of came out of my pocket to really fill the top and the bottom for those two duplexes. So I was really excited about that, but I could not have done it without again the expertise of Laura just kind of working on our behalf and helping us to kind of get things done. And even when those tenants came in, they had little things about the property that maybe needed some minor things. I don't mean anything major. I'm like, I think there was a major rain storm out in Hamilton, and some trees and some branches came down. And again, Josh connected us to a great resource. Gentleman was able to get there, do it, clean it up, and boom, the tenants were fine. They were happy. And so we're locked in. We're locked in for a year with tenants, man. And I'm happy about that because these are quality tenants.
Perfect. That's a great part of the story because, I mean, I remember when I did my first property in when was that, 2009, 2010, like my biggest fear was like, okay, crap, I'm gonna buy this property. It's a good property, I think, in a
Hmm.
good area, I think. But how am I gonna get tenants? How do I know
Yeah.
which one's good? How do I know which one's bad? I
Hmm.
ultimately did everything myself and made a massive mistake with my first
Mm.
property, got sued, all this crazy stuff. But
Oh,
never made that mistake again. Like you learned the lesson the easy way. I learned it the hard way. But for everybody else, I mean, yeah, you're spending six, seven, 800,000 on a duplex, and you're like, man, I got to rent this for 2,500 and this for a basement for 18, 1,900, whatever. Like
yeah.
it's daunting for someone who's not in the game and doesn't even
True.
know Hamilton at all. And
True.
um, and you feel like, man, if I have to pay 3, 4 thousand a month in mortgage, it's not going to work out very well, you know. So that's good. So you got it done. Um,
Mhm.
and now, if you're comfortable, we don't have to get super detailed, but maybe just talk about some of the cash flow numbers you were able to achieve with both properties.
I think we're probably around in terms of cash flow for the both properties. I think we're probably around the 500 to 700 mark. We're still navigating. We're still learning. Some of them just kind of came on board like maybe last month or so. So
Mhm.
we're still trying to kind of dot I's and cross T's with everything. But when we did the hardcore numbers with Josh, that's kind of where we were rocking in terms of those coming in. And look, as long as even if it was over like $100, I'd still be in this thing because I know I'm in it for the long. I'm not in it for the short term when it comes to real estate investing. I'm in it for the long term. And so for me, as long as we're cash flowing positive, I'd be great with that. So that's kind of where our numbers is. So I know we're on the healthy side of doing things
Yeah.
in managing it, and so far that's been good because our experiences before is that before we came on board, before we got to this level, we were always kind of negative cash flowing and thinking we would make it up, but it's because we had bad tenants. That's kind of what it came down to, and we didn't know what the real rental rates were going for in the area down here. So again, just like yourself, we kind of learned things the hard way, but this has been smooth sailing for us, to be honest with you, because when you have somebody who's kind of been through it, know what they're doing, and they can coach you, a lot of the anxiety kind of comes down. And make no mistake, my wife did have some anxiety. I think it was when we got to the financing part with Daniel, because we had a bad experience one time with a private lender, and they ended up taking advantage of us, and we ended up losing some money off of that deal. And I
Mm.
can see the anxiety on her, and Daniel was able to put her at ease. And I saw her asking questions and so forth, but she needed to be comfortable within her skin. And when everything closed and when everything was rented out, she honestly said to Daniel, said, "Man, thank you so much. This is the first time we've ever experienced such a smooth transition in being able to get this done without having to second guess how we're going to do it or thinking we're going to be taken advantage of again." So grateful for
Fantastic.
that.
Yeah, I mean, we typically these duplexes in Hamilton, the Niagara, the up and down bungalows, we're aiming to cash flow in that kind of 500 to $1,000 a month range. So you're right in the
Yes,
middle of that,
yes.
700-ish. That's bang on where you need to be. And that'll
Hmm.
improve a little bit as you raise rents, et cetera, but you're exactly where you need to be. And getting back to the team and Dan, I think the thing to realize for some people who haven't worked with us or you know some other realtors like us,
Yeah.
we're not we don't we're not residential realtors. We're never going to see mine and Josh's face on a billboard saying, "Hey, list with me." That's not what we do. And I'll be honest with everybody here. Like if I could trade in my real estate license and charge consulting fees for what we do, I would do it. But
Mm.
nobody wants to get a bill for $20,000 as a buyer of real estate. So,
Yeah.
it's in the nature of our business, it's easier for us to give you the advice, build a plan for you, and then actually hold your hand and help you transact, and then have the seller pay for the transaction than it
Yeah.
is to send a bill to people.
Yeah.
But regular realtors aren't made for this type of business. There is no coaching, consulting, or
Cool.
advisory tied in there.
Yes.
They're on the transaction treadmill.
Hmm.
We're in the relationship funnel. My
Mm.
job is to build, and who's on here that I know really well? Mike. I know Mike really well. He's also my physiotherapist now, and I'm in the business of building a relationship with Mike, and a good one built on respect and us helping each other because I don't have to ever market to him again. He knows who I am, he knows what I do, and he knows my expertise, right?
Yeah.
So, and with the beauty about working with investors is if you treat them well and you help them do one good property, where
Yeah.
are they going to come for their second or third or fourth and their 10th? They're going to go find
Yes.
Joe from Remax or they're going to call Paul and Josh again. It's a no-brainer, right? So, and keep that in mind. Why am I telling you that? It's because me, Josh, Dan from financing, exactly the same thing. We're
Yeah.
really invested in your success. And that
Yeah.
sounds totally cheesy, and it is, but it's the truth.
It is
You
the
know,
truth.
your success is ours. The more you succeed, the more you come back to us, right?
Yeah.
It's like being a good chef. The more I feed you and you like the food, the more you're going to come back, right? So, and that's why we do what we do, right? We're almost forced to go over and above and beyond. Okay. So you're here now. You got the properties, they're cash flowing. What does the future hold? Like, what's on your mind? What's your wife's name, by the way?
My wife's name is Janice.
That's right, Janice. You know, what's when you talk to Janice, like what's on your mind for the future? And it doesn't just have to be properties. Like, what do you want the properties to accomplish for you? And let me frame it for you. I actually, if I had it, I don't have it here, but I actually trademarked this tagline. Everyone's heard
Mm,
of ROI, return on investment. I used to say ROL all the time, return on lifestyle.
mm,
Because your ROI, who cares if you're just collecting money in a bank account? If it's
yeah,
not actually helping you positively improve your lifestyle, then what the hell is
yeah,
the point, right?
yeah,
Right? So I actually trademarked it. What in the future, and I don't mean
yes.
to put you on the spot, but what do you think? Like, what's the ROL for you? What do you want the properties to actually accomplish for you?
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm trying to get to a place where we can have a nice stream of income because at the end of the day, I know within the next, let's say 10 years, I might be 10 or 15 years, I'll be pulling away from pastoring, right? And handing it over to another individual. And so I want to be able to move forward in another chapter of my life. Real estate has always been there, but my wife and I, we are cruisers. We love cruising. We were away. It wasn't a cruise, but my 60th was in June. We went to Dubai. We went to Thailand. We love traveling. And that's a passion for us, right? And we want to be able to continue to do that even when I step away from pastoring. I want to get my daughters involved in the real estate piece so they can start creating and building generational wealth. So I'm trying to slowly hand things down to them. In fact, my daughter, she's been married about 2 years now. She bought her first property the second year that she got married. And so I'm happy for her. I'm trying to help my other daughter to get involved with that piece as well. My youngest daughter, she's in the States doing track and field, but I'm trying to get them all on this vehicle because I know that's the vehicle that's going to help them to be able to live life on their terms. And so I don't want to be struggling and worrying about how we're going to be able to do certain things. And that's one of the things that I liked when I was seeing Rockstar, that people were actually, when I read the newsletter, people were actually in places that they lived, loved, moved to. And so for us, my wife has a large family in West Palm Beach and Fort Lauderdale. So we're
Really?
hoping to, yeah, so we're hoping to buy a nice property down there. I want something up overlooking the ocean front. I can see ships moving by, some sand that I can go down in and just enjoy and still be able to do my coaching practice online. No matter where people are in the world, I can still do it at my pace and enjoy life. So I don't want to shut down when it comes to retirement. I'm just thinking it's a different stage of life for me, another chapter, but I want to do it in places that I love and I'm comfortable with.
Beautiful. I spent a lot of time in West Palm Beach and Jupiter, actually. It's
Okay.
fantastic. Really love Jupiter. Um, yeah, okay, so that's fantastic. So you can imagine how many conversations like this I've had over 15 years. And
Mm,
basically everybody's answer is some form of future planning,
yes, yes.
some form of it.
Yep.
And it's generally tied to I want my finances to be in a secure place
Hmm.
so I can do the thing that I want. And
Yes.
really, what if you had to boil that down is like I want my ROI to give me ROL.
Well, yes,
If you have
yes.
to make it into an elevator speech, it's I want my ROI to get me ROL. So for those of you on there, that's really the point, is that
Mm,
it doesn't really matter what type of property it is, whether it's the professor doing crazy renovations and making all this cash flow, or the pastor,
mm,
buying turnkey properties and making quick cash flow. It's not the
mm.
point of which strategy. The point is like we have to find the one that works for you
Yes,
so you can find your own ROL. You close that,
yes,
right? So that's the
absolutely.
message I want to bring across to everybody. That's what we really try to do, and it's more challenging than it's ever been right now in the real estate market. But if Devon the pastor can do it, I
Yeah,
know, Larry Mitchell's about to do it. He's closing on this property in March,
go Larry.
and yeah, we're gonna get Mike to do it. We're gonna get Rasso to do it again, and we're gonna get a bunch of people on here going, and maybe Danny too. Let me see. I think we covered a lot really quickly. Is there anything else you'd want to share, Devon, that any insights, advice for people, anything at all?
One of the reasons why I really, really like the way Josh and Paul, yourself, and Daniel operated was again that coaching piece. In fact, when I did do my book launch, I wasn't sure who I was going to bring, and I wanted to do something different because within the book from setback to success. I talk about my experience with real estate a little bit, and I try to point people in that direction in terms of getting involved with real estate to build wealth and generational wealth. And one of the things that really made a big impact on me was the experience that I had with Josh and the experience that I had with Daniel. That it was a no-brainer for me when it comes to who should I bring in to speak as it relates to real estate investing and broker because the essence of it is in my book. And so Josh and Daniel came in and they spoke a little bit in regards to, being a coach and things of that nature. And it went really, really well. I know they were connecting with people during the break and so on and so forth. And one particular individual definitely wants to connect because of my experience, wants to connect with Josh come springtime in regards to some things. And I'm comfortable because, again, when you got a great relationship with somebody, you don't have any reservations when it comes to referring them because you know the great service that you got and you can pass that on knowing that they're in good hands. I'll say, look, for those of you who are on the struggle bus, there is a way off of it, and I've shared some of that experience with you already concerning myself and my wife in our learning. And there is a pattern, there's a process, there's a guide to get off that struggle bus. And definitely, if you are interested in getting off of it, doesn't matter where you are. If you're just starting out, if you're in debt and you just can't see your way in getting in this, I'm here to help you. And so if you want to connect with me, my book, you can go to coachdevon.com. That's where my book is at, coachdevon.com. My number, my cell. Is it okay to give my cell number,
Yeah,
Paul?
yeah, please share.
My cell number is 647 400 4534. Essentially, I just sit down with you and I show you a path that you've got to go through to get to the stage that you need to get at, right? That's exactly what I do. I didn't have that. My wife and I didn't have that before. And so we were grabbing at different things to kind of make it work for us. And eventually I realized that there is a rhythm, there is a pattern to get to what you need to do. So before you put the cart before the horse, it's similar to what Paul said earlier when he said, leave your checkbook at home. Josh told me exactly that, right? Leave it at home. Don't bring it with you. We don't want you to get excited. We just want to take a look at a few things. And so I said, okay, fair enough. And that's kind of how it is with me when it comes to the financial coaching piece. And please understand, I'm not a planner. What I do is I sit down and I begin to talk to people around their behaviors, their attitudes around money, and how we can get them disciplined and on the right track to start producing the rewards that they're looking for, the small wins. And they've got to understand you didn't get into the situation overnight, so you're not going to get out of it overnight. But as long as you have a process, as long as you have a system in place, you're going to do extremely well. And if I can help you get to your real estate goal, man, I am here 100%. Thank you.
That's beautiful. So this is Devon's website, coachdevon.com. And
Thank
I'll put your number in the chat. Was it 647?
Yes, it's 647 400 four
Uh-huh.
five three four.
4534.
Yeah,
Okay, perfect. Guys, everyone, if you want a copy of Devon's book or you want to reach out to him, you got his number, you have his website. I think Devon's got a great story, and even if you don't need coaching and you want to make another friend in the real estate game,
yeah.
come to some of our events when we have them live. We'll invite Devon too. But now we have another real estate friend. Devon, it was awesome to have you. I
Thank you.
appreciate you sharing your story, man. That's fantastic. And we'll catch you next time in person.
Thanks for having me, Paul. It's a pleasure, and I appreciate both you and Josh as well. Thank you, my friend.
Merry Christmas to you and Janice and the family and to everybody else here if we don't chat.
Thank you so much. Season's greetings to all.
Ciao, ciao.